All right, so today we're diving into something that's really shaking things up in the tech world, large language models.
Yeah.
You know, LLMs, they're writing code, composing poetry, and some people are even saying, they might take over the world.
Right.
We're gonna cover all of that and more today.
Yeah.
And to guide us, we've got this book. It's called Prompt Engineering for LLMs, published in 2025 by O'Reilly Media.
Great book.
Yeah, and the authors are, get this,
Yeah.
John Berryman, founder of Arcturus Labs and early GitHub Copilot engineer,
Wow.
and Albert Ziegler, head of AI at XBOW, and another founding engineer of GitHub Copilot.
So we're really getting insights straight from the source.
Exactly. We're getting insights straight from the source.
The people who built these things.
Yeah, and by the end of this, you will be well-versed in this complex world and hopefully have some takeaways you can actually use.
That's exactly right. That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
Practical knowledge, not just a lecture on technical jargon.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so first things first.
Yeah.
What are large language models? I mean, I get that they're these, crazy smart programs, but how do they actually work?
Right.
And what's with their sudden popularity?
Yeah.
ChatGPT exploded onto the scene practically overnight.
ChatGPT's growth is remarkable. I mean,
I know, right?
it's faster than TikTok or Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So think of LLMs like really advanced text completion engines.
Okay.
You give them a piece of text, we call it a prompt, and they predict what comes next based on patterns they've learned from, tons of data.
So like predictive text on our phones, but on a massive scale.
Exactly.
Instead of suggesting the next word, they can write whole paragraphs, code, even poems.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But there's a key difference between LLMs and search engines.
Okay.
Search engines find existing info, while LLMs create new text based on probabilities.
Okay.
They don't know facts the way we do. They guess the most likely continuation based on what they've been trained on.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The book has this incredible story about one of the authors using Copilot to write code in Rust.
Wow.
Which is a language he'd never used before.
Interesting.
And it's like Copilot was reading his mind, suggesting the right code, understanding his intent, and filling in the blanks.
It's amazing.
The author said what would have taken hours took minutes with Copilot.
Yeah.
It seemed almost magical.
Well, the magic is definitely there, but there's
Yes.
also a potential downside, we call hallucination.
Hallucination.
Yeah, because LLMs are guessing.
Right.
They can sometimes make things up.
Oh, wow.
They might produce very convincing but completely fabricated information.
So, that makes me wonder, how much can we trust LLMs if they can just invent facts?
Right.
What are the safeguards in place to prevent misuse, especially as these models become more and more integrated into our lives?
That's a crucial question.
Yeah.
And it really highlights the need for critical evaluation of anything an LLM produces.
Oh.
And think of LLMs as powerful tools, but they're not all-knowing oracles.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So how did we go from, basic predictive text to these mind-blowing models?
Right.
The book mentions the GPT architecture and some pretty overwhelming numbers.
Yeah.
Can you break down the key moments in their evolution?
So I think, the big revolution was this generative pre-trained transformer architecture, or GPT.
Okay.
Started small.
Right.
But each version, GPT-2, GPT-3, and so on, they grew exponentially in both sides. And the data they were trained on.
Right.
We're talking billions of parameters and terabytes of text.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
The key takeaway is that bigger models and more data means, more sophisticated capabilities.
Right.
But it also raises concerns about the potential for creating misleading or harmful content.
Yeah, so it's not just about making these models bigger, it's about understanding how that increased scale impacts their abilities and the potential consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that leads to another important concept, fine-tuning.
Okay.
And it's about taking a pre-trained LLM and training it further on a specific task or data set.
Got it.
It's like taking, a brilliant generalist
Right.
and making them a specialist.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's how you get an LLM to, write Python code like a pro
Yeah.
or compose marketing copy that actually converts.
Exactly.
But doesn't specializing in LLM potentially limit its overall knowledge?
Yeah, it is,
Yeah.
there's a trade-off there, right?
Right.
Fine-tuning allows LLMs to excel in specific areas,
Right.
which is often what we need them to do.
Right.
But it's important to be aware of those limitations.
Okay.
Yeah.
This brings us to the heart of the book,
Yeah.
prompt engineering.
The art of talking to machines.
Yeah, it sounds like it's all about learning to speak the LLM's language to get the results we want.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it really that difficult to communicate with them?
Well, I mean, crafting an effective prompt, it's about more than just asking a question,
Right.
It's a blend of art and science, right?
Sure.
You need to be clear, mimic the patterns that the LLM learned during its training,
Okay.
and prioritize information.
So it's not just about writing one perfect prompt. It's about strategically designing the entire interaction.
Exactly. Think of it like having a conversation with a very literal friend, right?
Right.
You have to be precise with your words and anticipate how they might interpret your request.
Got it.
Yeah.
And what about chat-based LLMs like ChatGPT?
Oh, yeah, ChatGPT. That's the one everyone's talking
Sure.
about.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
The book mentions something called ChatML.
Right.
What role does that play in these AI-powered conversations?
So think of ChatML as a way to structure these conversations, to help LLMs keep track of context.
Right.
And maintain a consistent persona.
Yeah.
It's also crucial for preventing malicious manipulation, like someone trying to insert harmful instructions, right?
So ChatML acts as a kind of safety protocol.
Exactly.
Yes.
Ensuring these interactions are controlled and productive.
Right. This is where things start to feel really futuristic.
Yeah.
The book goes on to discuss how LLMs can actually use tools.
That's right.
We're not just talking about generating text. They can access real-time information and potentially even perform actions in the real world.
Right.
How does that work?
It's fascinating because LLMs, at their core, they work with text, right?
Yeah.
But by connecting them to external APIs,
Right.
we can give them access to real-world data and functionality.
Okay.
Right.
The book gives this amazing example of an LLM controlling room temperature.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool one.
Could you walk us through that?
Sure. So imagine you create a tool that represents a thermostat, right?
Okay.
You give the LLM access to this tool through a structured prompt.
Mm-hmm.
The LLM can then generate text that represents a command, like set the temperature to 72 degrees.
Oh, wow.
And then the system interprets this command.
Right.
Sends it to the actual thermostat.
Yeah.
And the room temperature changes.
It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It really is.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And then the book takes it a step further
Yeah.
with LLM workflows.
Workflows.
What are those and how do they change the game?
So think of workflows as a way to break down complex goals
Okay.
into smaller, manageable tasks.
Right.
Each task is like a step in a recipe,
Okay.
and the LLM orchestrates the entire process.
So it's like project management for LLMs.
Yeah.
You give them the big picture and they figure out the steps and execute them.
You got it. You got it.
Wow.
There are simple workflows where tasks happen one after another. And more complex structures like directed acyclic graphs or DAGs, which allow for more flexibility, right?
Okay.
Imagine a flowchart where tasks are connected in a specific order, enabling more intricate processes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Okay, so how do we know if these LLM applications are actually working well?
Right.
How do you evaluate something that's essentially thinking for itself?
That's a crucial question, and it involves both, offline and online evaluation.
Okay.
Offline is like, testing in a controlled environment using examples and comparisons to a gold standard.
Okay, so it's like running simulations
Exactly.
before letting the LLM loose in the real world.
Exactly. And online evaluation involves monitoring how the LLM performs in real-world scenarios.
Right.
Using feedback and A/B testing to see what works best.
So it sounds like building and evaluating LLM applications requires a deep understanding of both the technology and the tasks you're trying to automate.
Absolutely, but that's what makes it such a dynamic and challenging field. And as we move into the next part of our deep dive, we'll delve into specific techniques and strategies for crafting effective prompts.
I'm already hooked.
All right, great.
This is like getting a glimpse into the future.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to learn more about how we can harness the power of LLMs.
Let's dive in.
All right. Okay, so we've covered, the basics of LLMs, how they work, their evolution, and the importance of prompt engineering.
Yeah.
Now let's get into like the nitty-gritty of crafting those effective prompts.
Great.
I imagine it's like trying to communicate with a brilliant but easily distracted friend. You have to be, clear, concise, and avoid overwhelming them with too much info.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
LLMs have something called a context window.
Okay.
Which is essentially their short-term memory.
Yeah.
It limits, how much information they can handle at once.
So how do we decide what's essential and what can be left out? The book mentions prioritizing prompt content.
All right.
What are some strategies for doing that effectively?
So, think of it like packing for a trip.
Okay.
You want the most important items easily accessible, not buried at the bottom of your suitcase.
Right.
With prompts, we need to guide the LLM's attention to the most crucial information first.
Okay.
Start with your main point or question.
Yeah.
Then add supporting details in order of importance.
The book also mentions inert content.
Yeah, inert content.
What exactly is that, and why is it important?
So inert content provides context or sets the stage,
Okay.
but it doesn't need to be actively processed by the LLM.
Good.
It's like saying, I want a large pepperoni pizza with extra cheese. It's for a party.
Okay.
The fact that it's for a party adds context.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the pizza order itself.
Okay, that makes it much clearer.
Yeah.
But what if we need the LLM to analyze a lengthy document that won't fit within the context window?
Right.
The book discusses summarization as a potential solution. Can you elaborate on that?
Summarization is it's a powerful technique for handling large amounts of information.
Okay.
We can use another LLM
Oh, interesting.
to condense the document, highlighting the key points.
Okay.
This summary then becomes part of the prompt, allowing the LLM to grasp the essence of the original text without exceeding its limitations.
So it's like we're giving the LLM a cheat sheet.
Exactly.
We're essentially pre-digesting the information for them.
Exactly. And there are different levels of summarization.
Okay.
A general summary captures the overall theme,
Right.
while a more specific summary focuses on particular sections or aspects depending on what we're asking the LLM to do.
So the level of summarization we use depends on the specific task at hand.
Right.
It all ties back to guiding the LLM's attention to the most relevant information.
Exactly.
Speaking of context, the book talks about two main types,
Okay.
direct and indirect.
Mhm.
What's the difference between the two?
So direct context is explicitly provided in the prompt,
Okay.
such as the text we want the LLM to analyze or the
Yeah.
instructions we're giving it.
Yeah.
Indirect context is more implicit.
Okay.
It's the background knowledge or assumptions that we as humans naturally bring to a conversation.
Oh.
All right.
So it sounds like indirect context would be much harder for an LLM to grasp.
Yeah, it can be tricky.
How do we ensure they have the right background knowledge for a given task?
So one approach is using retrieval augmented generation,
Okay.
or RAG.
Regag.
Yeah.
Okay.
We use a separate system to pull relevant information from a knowledge base
Oh, interesting.
and include it in the prompt as indirect context.
Okay, so it's like giving the LLM access to external resources
Exactly.
that they can draw on to understand the nuances of the task.
Right.
For example, if we're asking a question about history,
Right.
we might use RAG to provide relevant articles from Wikipedia.
Exactly.
Okay.
It helps to enrich the LLM's understanding.
Yeah.
It ensures they have the necessary context
Right.
to generate a more accurate and informative response.
This is all incredibly fascinating, but also a bit daunting.
It is. It's a lot to learn.
It sounds like we need a diverse skill set.
Right.
Like part psychologist, part librarian, part programmer.
It's like the right way to put it.
Yeah, to engineer effective prompts for LLMs.
It's definitely a multifaceted challenge.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it so rewarding.
Yeah.
When we learn to communicate effectively with LLMs, we're unlocking their vast potential
Right.
for knowledge, creativity, and problem solving.
It's like we're learning to speak to a new form of intelligence.
It really is.
One that could fundamentally change the way we work and live.
Yeah, it's a paradigm shift.
I'm eager to explore specific techniques for crafting those aha prompts.
Yeah, the real magic moments.
Yeah, the book mentions chain of thought prompting,
Right.
which sounds particularly intriguing.
It's a powerful technique.
Is that like getting the LLM to think out loud?
That's a great way to visualize it.
Okay.
Chain of thought prompting encourages the LLM to reveal its reasoning process,
Right.
to break down a problem into smaller, more manageable steps.
Okay.
It's like asking, walk me through your thought process. How did you reach that conclusion?
So we're not just getting the answer, we're gaining insight into how the LLM arrived at that answer.
Exactly. And by, compelling the LLM to articulate its reasoning, we often get, better results.
Really?
It's as if the act of explaining helps them clarify their own thoughts, leading to more accurate and refined conclusions.
This makes perfect sense for tasks like, solving math problems or debugging code.
Right.
But how does it apply to more creative tasks
Yeah.
like writing a story or
Right.
composing music?
So even in creative domains, there's often an underlying logic to the process. By prompting the LLM to explain its creative choices or the themes it's exploring, we can gain valuable insights
Oh, okay.
and potentially steer the output in a more desirable direction.
So it's like we're collaborating with the LLM.
Yeah, it's a partnership.
Yeah.
It's not just giving orders, it's working together.
Engaging in a creative dialogue.
Exactly.
And as these models become more advanced,
Yeah,
I imagine this collaborative interaction will become even more sophisticated.
absolutely. It's an exciting area of development.
Yeah.
Now, another powerful framework for LLM applications is React.
React.
Yeah.
It sounds like something out of a superhero comic.
Right.
What exactly does it entail?
So React, it stands for reasoning and acting,
Okay.
and it goes beyond chain of thought prompting by giving the LLM access to tools
Okay.
and the ability to iterate on solutions. Imagine giving an LLM a toolbox and saying, here's a problem and here are some tools you can use, figure out the best way to fix it, and if your first attempt doesn't work, try a different approach.
So it's like empowering the LLM to experiment and learn from its mistakes.
Precisely.
Wow.
The LLM can reason through the problem, select the appropriate tools, take action, and then evaluate the results.
Oh.
It can even adapt its approach based on feedback,
Yeah.
making it incredibly powerful for complex, real-world tasks.
Can you give us a concrete example of how React might be used in a practical application?
Sure, I mentioned an LLM-powered travel agent
Okay.
that can suggest destinations,
Yeah.
book flights and hotels,
Right.
and even plan activities.
Wow.
Using the React framework,
Okay.
it could have access to tools for searching travel databases,
Okay.
comparing prices and making reservations.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell, I want to go on a relaxing vacation somewhere warm in March, and I have a budget of $2,000. And it would go out and figure out all the details for you.
That would be amazing.
Right.
It sounds like React has the potential to automate
It does.
many tasks that currently require a lot of, human effort and decision making.
Does. And that raises some, important questions about the future of work
Right.
and the role of humans in a world where AI can increasingly perform complex tasks.
Right.
But it also opens up exciting new possibilities for innovation and efficiency.
Yeah.
As we move into the final part of this deep dive,
Okay.
we'll explore more about the implications of these advancements and what they mean for the future of LLMs and prompt engineering.
We've covered a lot in this deep dive.
Yeah.
From how LLMs actually work.
The nuts and bolts.
Yeah. To the art of prompt engineering.
It's definitely art.
Yeah, and last time we left off talking about this really cool framework
Yeah.
called React.
React.
Can we dig into some real world examples of how it's being used? The travel agent I do is pretty amazing.
It's a great example.
But I'm curious about other applications.
Yeah, so what's exciting about React is that it can be applied to a wide range of problems.
Okay.
Think about customer service.
Okay.
A React-powered chatbot could not only answer questions, but also access customer databases, process orders, and even schedule appointments,
Wow.
all while interacting in a natural and conversational way.
That would be a game changer for businesses.
It would.
It could free up human agents to focus on more complex issues.
Exactly, that's the idea.
Are there any limitations to React? It sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, one of the challenges with React is ensuring the LLM chooses the right tools for the job.
Okay.
It's like giving someone a toolbox without telling them which tool to use.
Right.
We need to provide clear instructions and guidelines so the LLM can can make informed decisions.
So it's back to the importance of clear communication.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and setting the LLM up for success.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where do you see the field of prompt engineering heading in the future? Any predictions?
Well, it's a rapidly evolving field, so it's
Mhm.
hard to predict with certainty.
Yeah.
But one trend I'm excited about is the development of more intuitive tools and interfaces for crafting prompts.
Okay.
Imagine, a visual drag and drop interface
Right.
where you can easily assemble complex prompts without needing to write code.
Oh, wow. That would democratize access to this technology, allowing anyone to harness the power of LLMs,
Right.
even without, deep technical expertise.
Exactly. And I think we'll also see a greater emphasis on collaboration
Okay.
between humans and LLMs.
Right.
It won't be about replacing humans, but about augmenting our capabilities,
Right.
using LLMs as partners in problem solving and creative endeavors.
I love that idea of humans and LLMs working together. It's not about man versus machine, but man with machine.
Exactly. It's a partnership.
As we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what are some key takeaways you'd like our listeners to remember?
So I think the biggest takeaway is that LLMs they're powerful tools
Yeah.
with incredible potential,
Right.
but they require careful guidance.
Yeah.
Prompt engineering is the key to unlocking that potential.
Yeah.
By learning to communicate effectively with LLMs,
Right.
we can harness their abilities to solve problems, generate creative content, and ultimately transform the way we interact with information and technology.
Well, it's been an amazing journey exploring the world of LLMs and prompt engineering.
It has been fun.
A huge thank you to you, our expert guide,
Oh, thank you for having me.
for sharing your insights and expertise.
It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We appreciate you listening.
We hope you've gained a better understanding of this transformative technology.
Yeah.
And are inspired to explore its possibilities.
Absolutely.
Remember, the future of LLMs is still being written,
That's right.
and you could be a part of shaping that future.
We're all in this together.